Hi, I'm Franklin Leonard, founder of The Blacklist, and I'm joined by Ryan Coogler, who, if you have been living under a rock for the last year, is the writer-director of Sinners. Ryan, good to be here with you.
Man, it's nice to be here with you, Franklin.
I think we first met in 2013, 13 years ago, Sundance, Fruitvale Station. At the time, you were 27 years old at the festival with your first feature film. You've now made the most Oscar-nominated film in history. Quite the journey. And I'm struck by the fact that 13 years later, this is actually your first original movie. And that's actually kind of where I want to start. You said that you were worried that the audience didn't truly know you at all. And so I'm curious, as you sat down to write something that didn't have a basis in something else, like what was that like? Did it change your process at all? Like,
A little bit, but I always use like a really heavily research-based process for all of the movies that I've had a chance to do. Even when I was making short films, bro, in film school, I would always try to learn, as much as I could about subject matter or the world that I was trying to portray. And so in that way, this wasn't that different because a lot of research went into it, specifically around understanding blues music. I found these two books that were really helpful. One is called Deep Blues by Robert Palmer. The other one is Blues People by Mary Baraka. He was Leroy Jones when he wrote it initially. So you usually got to find it under the Leroy Jones moniker. So I found a few academics that got special thanks in the film and talked to a few musicologists. And I was talking to my cousin, Wendy, whose father, Uncle James, was kind of my intro to blues music. He passed away in 2015. But she's got an encyclopedic knowledge of blues music just from living with him. And then talking with my grandmother, who'll be 98 in October. And still in her right mind, talking to her about, what she remembers about her childhood. She was born in the late 20s. I think I was playing around with a podcast idea, crazy enough.
okay.
Which we still might do one day. But I took her to a professional podcast recording booth on the UC Berkeley campus. And this was probably when she was 95, 94, 95. And we just talked about our life for hours, bro. And I recorded it all. And I asked her basically any question I could think of. And I asked her what it was like when she met my grandfather, who was from Mississippi. They met in Oakland. And we talked, and I asked her at some point, I'm like, yo, what was y'all first date? She said, as a matter of fact, he took me to the movies. And I was like, yo, what did y'all watch? She's like, I can't remember the movie, but he kept trying to make out with me. I think understanding your ancestors as fully and complete human beings is something that for whatever reason, I think in our culture, man, it might be from its puritanical basis or whatever. We sanitize that in American culture. You know what I mean? And for me, the movie had to be, if it was gonna be about blues music, it had to also kind of reclaim that aspect of these people, because you gotta, it has to exist in that context too. You know. Yeah.
You mentioned your Uncle James. I feel like I read elsewhere that you felt like that Spoken Stack were your uncles Mark and Rod a little bit as well.
A little bit.
I'm curious. So as you are writing the script, you're hearing them in your head
Totally
as these two characters. So again, I just keep getting this overwhelming sense that the ancestors, there's some of whom are still with us, are flowing through you in telling this story.
Yeah.
Do you realize at some point that as you were writing it, these are two people I know? This is my family. These two men.
Bro. Yeah. I think early on, I was realizing that there were shards of truth in my story and relationships that brought me up, all throughout these characters, bro. They are my, they are my uncle Mark and Rod. They my cousins Hassani and Graylin. And in many ways, I'm Sammy in that car for those conversations.
Y'all put your hands now. You hear me? Hold your hands.
Hey, you move some of them? All of them.
Questions about how to move through the world, or the questions about what is it like over here, this place I haven't been, and learning that maybe your cousins, your uncles that you see as these heroes are very valuable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in learning that fast. That aspect of maturation, right? Where your parents, your big cousins, your big homies, they become
People.
Here we go. Save the fan, rehearsing, recording, ready, and action.
All right, Ryan, you told NPR something I want to push you on a little bit here. You said that you were not consciously constructing an allegory or a metaphor with the vampires. And I'm going to quote you here that you were just trying to communicate a feeling through cinematic language, and that if I can make something true, it's up to the viewer to draw those parallels.
Wait, what NPR is this?
I double checked it.
Wait,
Now,
what is it? Is this fresh air?
I think it was fresh air. Yeah. And look, a lot of folks will say this, right? Like, I'm just trying to tell a true story. People will take from it what they take from it, which is the right orientation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're not sincere in that.
Yeah.
However,
I don't know what the question. What is the question?
However, no, look. But again, if I can make something true,
bro.
If I can make something true,
was the question? Wait, what was the question, Franklin?
No, it's all right. I haven't gotten to the question yet. I'm saying I want to push you on this a little bit though, because you said that you were trying to communicate a feeling through cinematic language.
Yeah.
And that quote, if I can make something true, it's up to the viewer to draw those parallels.
Yeah.
Now, look, the audience, myself included, have read this film as a lot of things. It's an anti-capitalist treatise, a parable about cultural appropriation, and a meditation on the afterlife of slavery and Jim Crow. But when you're writing the true story, like the emotionally true story, how much are you thinking about like the undeniable multiple levels of meaning and subtext that exist beneath it? Because I don't buy that you're not aware of it, even if the priority is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think about that, if at all, as you're writing?
This movie, bro, I just wrote like in a different way in terms of metaphor, allegory. There were some like conscious filmmaking decisions, bro, like in terms of, and I'm talking like simple things, bro, like color theory. That was very real and conscious, like when we were making decisions on like who would wear what. But in terms of like allegory and what each character represents, and specifically like this idea of vampirism, I tried to let myself be free, but that's not without experiences that I've had as who I am, and the truth of those experiences.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was thinking about like certain experiences I've had in my life, and thinking about how I felt like while going through them, and letting that inform the writing. Does that make sense?
It does. In fact,
Okay.
I mean, let's talk about the vampirism specifically, because I think you also said that you sort of went through a whole Rolodex of supernatural creatures, like as you were trying to come to vampirism.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through and you landed on very specific vampires, and you've talked a lot about your love of Irish culture.
Totally.
And I think Remick offers a very specific view of the world that's informed by being Irish, and this idea that like the oppressed can become the oppressor. Can you just walk through how you landed on that specific villain? Because I think it's one of the most underappreciated parts of the movie. I think is sort of the Irish of it all. The choice of an Irish vampire.
Yeah.
That's deliberate, and
Yes.
you're saying very specific things with that. And I'm curious,
Yes.
like how you landed on that. And just like, unfurl the onion for me a little bit on the thinking, because it functions on a bunch of levels.
So look, like I was circling blues music and music in general, and I had a pretty good idea that my next movie would be rated R and a horror thriller. I was pretty sure about these things.
Okay.
And I was at home listening to music, and I heard this song called Wang Dang Doodle. and it became very clear to me like what the movie was gonna be. You know, Howlin' Wolf, I'm listening to. He's got this really intimidating voice, kind of presence. Like you can hear his size and his danger whenever he opens up his mouth, and he's talking about getting together all of these like this group of characters that's got all these crazy nicknames. You know, like and they're gonna get together and throw this wildly dangerous party. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna destroy the building at the end. They're gonna like a part of the fun of the party is gonna be the danger of everybody involved. So I was like, oh, if the movie is a bunch of really like dangerous ne'er-do-wells, like getting together and throwing like a rager, and they have like this kind of strength in the, because when you out with a bunch of people that can hold their own, you feel oddly safe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's a strange thing, like where it's like, oh, we're good here.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
We're gonna be all right because everybody here can handle their own. And if that gets met with something
that can be
the ultimate danger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, like I was like, oh, that's the movie. And from there, I was pitching it to Zenzi, who's always the first stop for me, and I say, yo, babe, is it, you know, what do they meet? Is it werewolves? You know what I mean? Like, is it you know, is it, man, maybe, you know, and I'm like, maybe it's vampires, you know, and you know, like that kind of thing. Is it, you know, and I got this Twilight Zone episode that I love, because I love the Twilight Zone more than anything, right? That's above a prophet for me, right? Like if you it's above everything, right? Like, and then my favorite episode is this one called The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank, which is like you know, if you like the Twilight Zone, please seek it out. And then as I drilled down into blues music and like the deal, and that bass story of Tommy Johnson, Robert Johnson, of a guitar player being transformed for a sacrifice,
right?
You know, and all that I was, you know, dealing with, grappling with. It was a time of the strikes and AI question. Will cinema exist in 10 years? Questions, and coming out of the pandemics, and all of that was, and then it was like, oh, it has to be vampires.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like while I was studying music and understanding it.
Yeah.
Somebody take me into home tonight.
Blues, it wasn't forced on us like that religion. No, so we brought this with us from home.
And we can't talk about music without talking about the surreal montage. I feel like you probably have talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
But I do have one question. And I'm gonna quote your costume designer, legendary Ruth Carter here.
Yeah.
It's sacred. Big.
Everyone who read it from a different discipline could hear the music, could see the movement, could see the costumes. That is the beauty of allowing your team to understand the material, but also give them room for their own vision. I think literally your editor, your composer, your cinematographer, everybody's described reading that section as a revelation. Which I found kind of wild because that's one page on the script. Like, and if you look at the script, it's really the only place where you're explicit about how the camera moves. Like everywhere else in the script, it's very behavioral, but like almost every paragraph of that section, we rotate, we push up, we trap back, we tilt back.
Yeah.
It's arguably the only place you write like a director. And I'm curious, like, how do you write something like that on a page where everybody independently sees their own art form in it?
Yeah.
When it's the one place that you're actually being like very specific about what you want the camera to do.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Like how do you, like, were you conscious of bringing everybody in that, or is it just, it was a moment of inspiration and everybody saw it?
And what's complicated about it is, bro, because I am a writer director. I try to do those things separate as much as I can. You know, like so I'm not talking about like the shots.
No, like nowhere else in the script. You don't.
But I'll do it when it makes sense or when it has to be done. You know, so you know, I would have to go back to like the original drafts to see if I was writing it exactly like that. There's a chance that I was.
Right.
But it's also like, you know, I'm constantly updating the script.
Of course.
Based off conversation, you know, like, and sometimes my department heads will ask for the specificity on the page.
Really?
They'll ask for it. Yeah, they'll say, hey, what do you mean by this? Like, you know, where are we when this is happening? And I got other department heads like visual effects, you know, when they really want the specificity, when they need it, you know.
Yeah.
So that section that section is probably like the most clear example of like what it is to be a writer director, you know, at times. But I don't know if I was that specific
early on
in the initial draft. It definitely always had a different vibe when I was writing it, because that wasn't outlined or anything like that. It was like a discovery. That scene and the Rocky Road to Dublin scene, those came later on in the process.
Right.
Those scenes come. The surreal montage came as I was going from initial outline to script, and then the Rocky Road to Dublin came like while we were in prep. You know, like it was one of those. It was a later breaking idea that was like in conversation with the other one. But bro, I want like I feel like I want to just come back to your last
question, let's talk about
bro, because like the real idea, bro, for me it was like less an allegory. Well, I guess like, man, it's not for me to say, bro. It's for people like you, bro, who engage with it in a more academic context. But like, this unique blues music, bro, the Delta blues, it's got its roots definitely in the continent.
Yeah,
Americas, parts of Europe, you know what I mean? Like. But it is a true blue American art form.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I want to ask you specifically about Pick Poor Cotton Clean.
Pick Poor Robin Clean.
Pick Poor Robin in the context of that.
Yeah.
Because that was, if my research serves, one of the earliest recordings of Black blues music.
Mm-hmm. And woman named Geechee Wiley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have this Irish vampire singing it.
Yeah.
Trying to get into the party, trying to convince Sammy.
Trying to relate.
Look, this. I'm with you. Like I got it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that song in particular in the context of that moment?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first time I heard this song, it blew me away. And I heard it while I was researching, basically like the kind of music my uncle would listen to. I got obsessed with it, and I was coming across all types of music. And that song just kind of blew me away. Like I knew what they were talking about. Like I knew these women. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like somehow I knew them. Like and I knew like what they were talking about on this surface, and then what they were talking about like way underneath. I'm not a musician. I mean, all musicians. I think they supernatural, the good ones. You know, like. When I see a great musician perform, it makes me believe in God. In Delta blues music, this was my attempt at me, a non-musician, but somebody who was fluent in film language. This was the closest thing I could get to making a blues song, this movie. And something that is very simple on its surface. You could look past it, but that's coming from a deeper attempt to connect on a human level, you know. This was me trying to do that, and that song made the most sense.
I mean, you mentioned this explicitly. You said, you know, your Uncle Marcus is Stack, your Uncle Rod is Smoke. And, you know, you're the young artist in the family who takes their stories and makes something that, as the film puts it, pierces the veil between the past and the future.
Yeah.
In the final scene, you know, we see what Sammy becomes. He's an old man, played by Buddy Guy, still playing. He survived it all. He survived Jim Crow. He survived the vampires. He's still here.
Yeah.
But what does it feel like to be Sammy? Like sitting here now with the most Oscar nominations in the history of the Academy.
Oh man.
Like how does that?
I mean,
how's Sammy doing?
I'm I feel like incredibly grateful, bro. Like I feel like I've been blessed with the ability to find a career that I love, and I've been able to find people who I love to work with.
The gate is also clean.
I come from a tight-knit community, and I found another one, you know, and both communities are still in my life. And yeah, like Sammy at the end of the movie is in his 90s. You know what I'm saying? Well, play about a man who'll be 90 soon. And yeah, if I'm blessed to get to that point in life, man, that'd be so beautiful. But to be honest with you, bro, like I identify with all of the characters, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's in certain contexts, I'm Sammy, but you know, as a writer, you know, like they all got a piece of me in there. You know what I'm saying? And but the beautiful part about it is that transformational quality. They become somebody else. Like soon as Mike steps in and puts some clothes on, or Miles steps in and put, you know, or Wumi or it becomes them. You know, it becomes their story as much as it is mine, and that's why I love this gig, bro. And I hope that audiences continue to have me.
I suspect they will. Thank you,
Right
Ryan,
on.
for sharing your vision for Sinners. This has been amazing.
Man, thank you, bro. Thanks for having me. This is great. Great.